This is the paint that I'm using to cover the fuselage and the control surfaces, the finish color. It's supposed to match the polyurethane, the durethane that Cub crafters used on the airplane. So it will match the wings and the other parts of the airplane that I didn't do anything with. This stuff is FDGH paint. This is what the body shop up in Anchorage recommended that I use, other than, I guess durethane they don't have anymore. They've got different types of stuff now, and this is what he recommended for that. This is the color code is 80502. This gallon here I bought when I went and bought the fuselage 3.5 years ago. We bought it in Anchorage at the auto body supply store. Brought it home. It's been sitting up on the shelf. I think I've shook it up a couple times. I've got some DUHS that I got several years ago to match that, and I was using it on some of the parts on the airplane. Well, two of them don't mix. They're different paints. I got a gallon of it, and the guy at the body shop, auto body supply shop, said a gallon would be plenty. But after painting everything, I got to worrying that maybe a gallon wouldn't be enough. So I called up and ordered another gallon and had it mixed up and shipped down to me. It's just as easy or just as cheap for me to order this stuff out of Anchorage and have it shipped down as it is from Seattle and have it shipped up. And it's faster because I can have it shipped on a cargo plane and it'll get here in 3 or 4 days after I ordered it, or a week. Or if I have it shipped up from Seattle, then it's got to go hazmat there, and it costs more for the hazmat than it does to here from there than it does from Anchorage to here. And the shipping will wind up being more. It might take me 2 weeks to 3 weeks to get it. Now, these are both supposed to be the same colors. I bought this one 3 years ago, and I just got the other one, so they're different batches. So I'm going to take these two cans and dump them into a 5-gallon can and mix them together, and then put them back into the gallon cans. Well, even though that second can, the new can I got, is fresh and was just mixed up, I just stuck it on the paint shaker for a little while to make sure it got shook up before I mixed it together. Well, there's 2 gallons of paint in a 5-gallon bucket. I guess that's a 6-gallon bucket or 7-gallon bucket, I don't know. It's a fresh plastic bucket that we got and cleaned out, and it's all mixed together. Looking at those 2 buckets, it's hard to tell, but there might have been a slight shade difference between this older one and the new one. The older one might have been just slightly dark. It's hard for me to tell the difference, but anyway, they're the same now. So I'll put those back in the gallon cans and seal them up, and they'll be ready to start painting here pretty soon. Well, there's 2 perfectly matched gallon cans of paint, and there's not quite as much in there as there was when I dumped them out. Unfortunately, you lose some when you transfer it like that. Might be enough paint there to cover an elevator or a horizontal stabilizer. Anyway, that's a sacrifice you gotta make, I guess. Well, here's the lids with the 2 colors. This is the new can, and this is the older can, depending on how it's sitting in the light, but it almost looks like this is just slightly lighter than the new can, but it doesn't matter, they're both the same now. I'll put this port lid on here. On this can, we'll use it first, and since we're going to start using it here pretty darn quick. Okay, that's it. So far, doing the fabric work and paint work on this airplane, I've used some different protection devices for breathing. For the most part, doing the fabric work, I didn't use anything, doing the taping and gluing and stuff like that. But when I would do larger surfaces, like when I would put the poly brush on the main surfaces and was exposed to it a lot, or when I was using MEK a lot for washing things down, like going to wash the fabric down with MEK on all of the controls, and particularly the airframe. And I used one of these cheap masks. I got these off eBay from China. I think I got 5 of these for about $2 or $3 a piece. And I wasn't sure that they would work. I thought, well, if they don't work, I'm not out a whole lot of money, because the shipping was free on them, and I think I paid like 15 bucks for 5 of them, if that. Anyway, they worked pretty good. I was surprised. They've only got 1 filter on them, and they work pretty good, even over my beard with that small opening in here. They didn't fog up my glasses, which is a problem I have a lot with wearing dust masks and masks of different types, as they'll leak out through the nose here and fog out the glasses. And they didn't seem to leak any. You could tell, because when you take it off, then the smell of the MEK or whatever would just about knock you over. So they were working pretty good for that. The only downside to these that I had was after a while wearing them, they fill up with water in here, and when you exhale, then it blows out drops of water out through it. I also used this grinding on that fuel tank when I was doing all the sanding off of it, taking all the paint off and the fiberglass, all the fiberglass work and stuff, the grinding of the fiberglass and everything that I did. I wore this using that, and again, it worked pretty good for getting the dust out for the most part. When I started spraying on the poly spray or the poly brush, I got one of these. I bought two of these 3M dual cartridge disposable respirators. They're for organic vapors, and I got a large, a grande. Anyway, that's what I was using while I was spraying, and they worked really good for that. Again, you could wear it in there and you didn't smell any vapors at all. When we come back in the shop here to clean up the gun and stuff, and you could tell they were working good, because when you took it off, then the vapors and the smell of the solvents and the MEK and stuff would hit you then. Now, these come in a bag that has one of those Ziploc type seals you can just seal up. When you're using it, you can put it in there and seal it up. This charcoal or the activators and stuff in there have a tendency to absorb even when you're not using them if they're left in the open, and so they will just fill up with whatever the stuff in the air is that the charcoal absorbs. So you can keep it in here and keep it sealed up to keep it from wearing out while you're not using it. The problem with that is that this thing, again, if you use it, have it on for a while, it builds up moisture inside and it fills up, and I don't think I would leave it out so it would dry out inside. They come with this, with the filter, and then they come with little cotton or fabric primary filters that you put over the top of the filter inside. And the first one, I didn't put those on, and I probably should have, because what happened was all of that overspray wound up coating the filter and blocking it off. Eventually I just barely breathe out of it. So this is the second one that I used, and I put the cotton filters over it, and this one's almost, it's still breathable, it's still usable, but I can take those out and put these in there when I want to, and I still got a good unit. Now, those filters worked fine for almost everything. The paint that I'm putting on now is a polyurethane, and it has the, I don't remember exactly how you say that, polyisocyanates or cyanurates or whatever it is. Basically, it's pretty much like super glue, and the overspray, it can get on, gets in your eyes, and it'll glue itself to your eyeballs, or anything that's wet, gets in your lungs, it'll glue your lungs closed. So a regular dust filter really doesn't work for that, and that's one of the reasons I've avoided using the polyurethanes in the past. I went with Delstar, which is an acrylic enamel. So a few years ago, knowing I was going to do this with the polyurethanes, I bought this machine, and this is just basically a fan. It's just a pump. It's got a filter on each side. You can get a splitter for it so you can run two people off of it, or whatever. I just got it for one. Set it up in an area that's going to have clean air in it. I'll put this in the hanger back over in the corner where it's away from where the exhaust is for my fan. You can hook the hose up to it. It just uses a garden hose type fitting on it. It's got this corrugated crush type crush proof hose for it, and I got plenty of hose. I got long hose on it. I've got two lengths of hose on it. I think they're 25 feet each, but I got plenty of hose, so I have plenty of room to keep this in a different area, clear away from wherever I'm painting. The weak link in this system is this hood, and it's got a Tyvek hood with a plastic plexiglass lens on it. I don't know, I've looked for a replacement hood for this, and this hood I think sells for like $150 or something, and I don't see where it's worth $10. What it does is got this special length of hose, a short length of hose that feeds through the back of the hood, and it comes out. You can bring it out over your head and down, and it blows air over your eyes and pressurizes this thing and keeps the paint fumes and stuff like that from going up in there. It's positive pressure on the inside, so it keeps everything out, and you don't have to wear a dust mask. It's great for somebody that has a beard, a mustache that the mask won't fit tight on. But it is just a cheap fabric sewn. I thought it was Tyvek, but I don't even think it's Tyvek anymore. Maybe I wear glasses, and this thing is so tight that it's the lens here on the front is right up against your glasses, and it scratches inside, and you can't get it away from your glasses. And then they sent a whole bunch of these plastic shields to go on it to help protect the main lens, so the overspray stuff sticks on it, and that's real nice. But this thing has such a curve in it, and this is not exactly optically pure anyway, and you get distortion on it with it through between glasses and this. There's distortion, and then you add that extra plastic on the front of it, and you get that much more distortion. And so it's really hard to see what's going on. The visibility out of it is not very good. It's got a nice wide lens on it, so you get good periphery and stuff like that. I've looked for other solutions for this, and I just can't find anything that's viable, that's affordable without going several $100s. But this does work. It does, as you can see, the yellow on here, I've used it and sprayed with it before, and it does work. Well, that's what I'm going to use. This piece here goes in the hood, and this goes up in the hood and vents out right into the hood, right over your face. It's got a quick connector here that connects into the hose right here, so you can quickly connect it and disconnect it. It's got a strap here around it to go around your waist, so you don't have to hang on to it to drag it around. The one other detraction of it is you've got a lot of hose here to drag around, and you've got another hose to drag around beside the air hose for the spray gun, and it drags on the floor and picks up overspray and stuff like that and kind of kicks it up into the air. But I haven't had any trouble with that really. Well, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to set this up in the hanger for spraying the polyurethane paint.